Anyone who has ever been abused by a narcissist or been in a tight relationship with a narcissist understands that one of the things the narcissist does, the primary thing the narcissist does is to draw supply out of you. Now, let's talk specifically about the 7 things that he or she is doing to get supply extracted from you and applied to themselves. And I like to use the example of a bicycle pump. You know, the hand pump, where you push down on the pump and the air goes from the pump through a tube into the bicycle tire. That's how you pump up a tire. And you just keep pushing it down over and over and over again. And the more you push it down, the more air goes into the bicycle tire. Well, we think of the narcissist as the tire, and he needs this air supply, or she needs this air supply, and you are the pump. You are the one who is constantly being pushed down so that the supply can come from you and transferred to the narcissist. Well, with that thought in mind, here are the 7 things we need to watch out for. Number 1 is what we call reward and punishment. How does the narcissist control people in the first place? Well, come to think of it, how does anyone control people in the first place? Not long ago, I was watching this, actually I was watching it on YouTube, but there was this TV series called something about my 600-pound life or something like that. I don't know. But the focus of the series was on people who weigh 600 pounds or more and are morbidly obese. And for some reason, we are fascinated with their stories. But what fascinated me is not how did they get to be 600 pounds, these individuals or more, but how do they stay there? Because they are immobile. They can't get up. I mean, with a few exceptions, nearly all of these people are bedfast. They can't retrieve their own food. So how do they maintain that weight? How do they stay fat? I guess is a more blunt way of saying it. And well, it seems that they are dependent on somebody else to bring them food. And what I'm wondering is, why is this somebody else enabling this person, knowing when you bring this person food, you are helping, well, sometimes you're helping to end their life. I mean, it's very serious. So how does this person who is immobile, weighs 600-700 pounds, able to control this other person who could, if they wanted, just walk out the door? I mean, they don't need this. They don't need this person who has the disease of obesity. They don't need this person, do they? I don't think so. Well, how do they control this enabler? Well, I find that the way that they do it is through reward and punishment. And it's all verbal. It's all because all they can do is talk, and sometimes they can't do that very well. And I noticed over and again, and some of these people are not bit fast, but you know they're up and about, but they ride around on little motorized scooters, whatever. But I've noticed in every single case, and if you watch that program, you may notice the same thing, but in every single case, the person who is obese is rewarding the person who brings them food with praise. But at the same time, if the food is not proper or not sufficient in quantity, they will verbally abuse the person. I mean, they punish them. And so the enabler, the person bringing the food, are you following me on this? Because it's kind of important. The person who is bringing them food is, or supplying them with food, is responding to that reward and punishment. They like to be praised. They like to feel good about what they're doing, and they don't like to be punished with harsh words. Now, to me, that's just silly. Just walk away from it. Now, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Well, think of the narcissist in your life as the guy who weighs 600, 700, 800 pounds. Think of yourself as the enabler who keeps bringing this person supply. Why do you do that? Well, it's because of reward and punishment. The narcissist is rewarding you, giving you praise, making you feel good about yourself, making you feel like you have a sense of worth and value, and at the same time, the narcissist will turn around and punish you with harsh words, put you down, whatever, taking supply out of you. So what we're going to focus on now is, once we establish how that relationship works of reward and punishment, are some of the specific things that a narcissist does. And number two is they always have to get in the final word. I mean, always. Anytime I've ever dealt with a narcissist, one thing I've noticed, and you've probably noticed the same thing, is, well, they're just never wrong. No matter what you say, they've got a better idea. No matter what your opinion is, their opinion is a little bit more refined in their opinion, and, their opinion is better than yours. Number three is always the one-upmanship. No matter what you do or how you do it, they can do it better. I've noticed that, for example, let's say, this is just something that pops in my head. I don't know where it came from, but let's just say that you salt your French fries, and the narcissist has to put a little bit more salt in it. Or maybe you put the salt shaker down on the table, and the narcissist reaches out and moves it over to its proper place, which may be a fraction of an inch. Whatever you do, they have to do it a little bit better. They have to correct it. They have to make sure, they have to explain to you and to yourself, to themselves rather, through their actions, that you're not doing it right, ever. They always do it right. Now, there may be a few exceptions to that, but by and large, that's one-upmanship. Number four rather, is they are the advisor. Their advice is the best advice. Doesn't matter if they're flat out dead wrong or not. Their advice is always, always correct. Years ago, we had a guy in our church, and he said some of the dumbest things, but he was always right, We had a plumber came to the church, and his job was to trench plumbing to a building, because we were going to segregate the building all by itself. And they were having a problem getting into the building. They had no access. And so this guy went to the plumber. Now, the interesting thing is, this guy wasn't even a church member, hardly ever showed up, unless he could, there was an opportunity like this where he could be the big shot. So he told the plumber, look, we've got this other building, just segregate it. So the plumber did. Just segregated the wrong building, tunneled over to this other building that did not need to be segregated. And the reason we were segregating the building is because it needed to be on a different water bill, because we were renting it out. But the guy had to be the advisor. He had to be right by virtue of the fact that he was him. What is wrong with these people? Do you have someone like that in your life who always has to give the advice? Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, by virtue of the fact that it's his or her advice. Number five is they always win arguments. How does a narcissist win an argument when they're wrong 90% of the time? We've talked about this plenty times in the past, and the way the narcissist does that is he lures you into an argument, and that's how he wins the argument. The virtue of the fact that you're arguing with him or her tells him or her that he is controlling you. He made you do something that you would not have done otherwise. The fact that he's totally wrong is irrelevant. The fact that you're 100% right is irrelevant. What's relevant is that he or she lured you into an argument. Number six is what I call humiliate and debase, otherwise known as just invalidate. The narcissist loves nothing more than to humiliate you in front of others. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like to tease people sometime, and I go overboard, and I got to watch myself. And sometimes people will tease me now and again, and that's okay. I get it. They're not trying to humiliate me. We're just having fun. That's part of life. It's part of having a good friendship. But with a narcissist, it goes a lot deeper than that. I mean, substantially deeper, where they're serious. They want you to look like a buffoon. They want you to look like a fool in front of everybody. They're not having just fun, and they are having fun. But the end objective is to make themselves look substantially more important, I guess. So they're validating themselves by invalidating you, because they do that comparison thing. We talk about height and how tall a person is, so they elevate themselves a little bit taller by putting you down a little bit lower. Okay, think of the Olympics, and when they give out the gold medal, the guy who gets the gold medal, he stands in the middle, and he's a little bit taller than the other guys. Well, the narcissist views himself or herself as the gold medalist, always in every situation. Maybe something as mundane as how you place the salt on the table. It's got to be over here, there, I won the gold medal. Always humiliating you, but usually debasement is through something that is verbal, joking, humiliating you, making you look small in the eyes of others. Sometimes, and this is really painful, but sometimes it's even physical abuse. And you get this a lot with bullies, in elementary school, well, maybe in high school too, where they are physically hurting people. All right, think of the narcissist as a bully. He may not be punching you physically, maybe he is, but he is humiliating you with words, making you look absurd, making you the brunt of the joke. Number 7 is what I call just a false trust. This is like the foundation of narcissism when it comes to that codependency, where you are relying on the narcissist to make you feel good, you thought initially, and the narcissist is supplying, depending on you rather, for supply, things we just talked about. That is codependency. To do that, he or she needs to have a false trust. So, what narcissists do, and I've noticed this in virtually every person that I consider a narcissist anyhow, is that they have this, we talked about this in other videos, is they have this false reality that they create. They imagine this false reality, and it has some bearings and truth. They try to make it very believable, and usually they get away with that. But it's false. It's all fake. And so people will trust them. When you initially go through that love bombing stage, that's what that is all about, is getting you to trust the narcissist. And it works. I mean, if you've been entangled with a narcissist, chances are you went through that phase and it worked. I know there are times when you get involved with a narcissist which has nothing to do with love bombing. It's because you got to work with a guy, or maybe it's because it's a family member, or maybe it's because it's somebody who lives down the street in your neighborhood. They're just a narcissist, and you didn't go through love bombing stage. You just have to put up with them because of your proximity. But in this case, we're talking about people who have taken advantage of you and suckered you in. What they did is they created that false trust. You see those 2 rectangles on the screen? You want this conversation to continue? Okay, cool. Let's keep talking. Just click one of those 2 rectangles and the conversation goes on. If not, thanks for stopping by. See y'all next time.